Alright guys, today I'm going to be doing an M4A1S tier list, but with the twist of it being focused on value for money. I've already done this for the AK-47 and for all the gloves in the game, and you guys seem to love that slight change on how we're doing the ranking, and that's exactly what I'm going to continue today. So, we have 38 different M4A1S skins, and I'm going to rank them all the way from S tier all the way to F tier based on their value for money. So please keep in mind that it is based on the value for money. I am going to use my Nox gloves just so there's neutral pearl gloves throughout the whole process for it, and it's all going to be based on minimal wear pricing where possible, because that's the most consistent kind of way to do this. Otherwise, we're going to be spending 2 hours discussing how one in field test is slightly better, one in well worn actually gets you good value for money. So min wear is going to be the baseline. If there's certain skins, which I'll have an asterisk on them, where factory new pricing makes more sense for the comparison, I will do that. So, you can see the tier list here. Before we get into it, let's talk about today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Skinport. If you didn't already know, Skinport is the best place to buy and sell your Counter-Strike skins with a fast, smooth, easy, and secure experience for both buyers and sellers. The big benefit is that prices are considerably cheaper compared to on the Steam market. For example, this M4A1S Hyper Beast is currently 21% cheaper on Skinport, giving you more value for money. They've also added an amazing 3D viewer for inspecting skins and charms. This means if I'm not able to jump into an inspect server, I can still fully check out the skin and decide on the purchase. On the selling side, Skinport can essentially act as a middleman for your trades. If you do a private listing on Skinport, the fee reduces to 2% and you can send the link directly to the buyer. So, with over 2 million skins available right now, no buying fees, and an excellent Trustpilot rating, Skinport has everything you need and more. Check out the link in the description, and thanks to Skinport for sponsoring today's video. Alright, so I'm on the new whistle map, which honestly, aesthetically, this is pretty cool. We're going to use it to inspect the skins today. First up, we have the Dark Water. Now, this skin, I think back in the day, would have been great. Its pricing is now $72.50, which is, it's quite pricey for what this skin is, so it's not going to be too high up the tier list. Now, it is an old school skin. You can buy them with some nice sticker grasp. I think overall, we're talking C or D tier. We'll put it in C for now. As we go through, I'll do a full review at the end, and we might shift some skins around. Then we have the Blood Tiger. Now, this skin is fairly affordable at minimal wear. You're talking $4.60, which is good. However, I don't see many people wanting to use this skin. It's probably for good reason. It's a little bit lackluster on the artwork side. So, because it's a fair price, but just not overly keen on artwork, that's like a B or C tier. Like, I don't think your value for money is incredibly big. I'm unsure if I'd want this in B or C. For now, I'll put it in B because there's a bit of a difference between this and the Dark War. When we get onto the Moss Quartz, I think this one is where we need to take a bit of context into consideration as well. So, just so you know, minimum wear for this is $41. But there's one big thing we need to keep in consideration here, and it's that the M4A1S green skin options outside of like a Boreal Forest really lack. So, this being $41 and probably your best green M4 option, it means it just sort of creeps up the chart a little bit more in value because there's no other options. As for that, I'm going to say this is definitely B tier, but it cannot go any higher. Now, I think we're going to have some interesting conversations when it comes to the likes of the print stream. Now, the pearlescent effect did get added back. Not as crazy as it was in CSGO, but it is back. Minimal wear, this is going to run $250. Now, this is one of the skins that I know you could say, look, you can save $100 and buy it and field test it, and you can. But for the sake of the comparisons here, this minimal wear or factory new pricing when it matters is what we have to go by. And for that, it's a very nice piece of artwork. It has good craft potential, but $250 is a little pricey. But although it's $250, it's not like D tier because it is one of the best skins in the game. So it's for that I think there's an argument of high B, potentially low A. So at this point, I should mention, while I will try to remove my bias towards skin for this, it's still going to exist a little bit. Now, Guardian is one of those skins I would have a bias against. I don't really like this skin that much. However, I'm aware it's an older skin. There is some cool craft potential. And it's $20 for minimum wear. It is a nice base blue, but there's not much else to it outside of that. So I think, again, it kind of ends up in this B tier category of you're not breaking the bank. It's a nice enough skin, but you're not getting anything crazy. So this is going to be a case of cheaper means better. For example, Boreal Forest at 7 cents does not mean that it's an S tier skin because most people don't want to play with it. However, it is 7 cents for a skin. So if you desperately needed one, you can go for it. So it's probably going to be in that B category again. Honestly, actually, you know what? It might have to go A just because it is 7 cents. Like, it is so cheap, and there's not many that are in that price range at all. And now we have an absolute winner. This is the first S tier skin you're going to have. It is the Nightmare. In minimal wear, this will run you about $16. Now, personally, I prefer it in Factory New, but you can see here in minimal wear, it still holds up really well. This is one of the best bits of artwork we can get on an M4A1S, and it's under $20. So this is just flat out an S tier pick for value for money. Like, absolutely, without a doubt, S tier. Then we have one of the newer skins that got added into the game. It's the absolutely beautiful Vaporwave. Now, I will say, it starts to pick up a little bit of wear in minimal wear along the top, which isn't ideal, but artwork-wise, this is absolutely fantastic. Like, I wanted to pick one of these up before I, like, doubled down on my green loadout. My issue with it was, it looked like it was on track to go to around £70, so $100-ish. However, people stopped, like, buying armory passes, stopped redeeming them, and it's now gone to $150. So if it was sub $100, I would make a very strong claim for this to be S tier. However, at $150, it can't quite be S tier, but it is one of potentially top 5 best bits of artwork we have on an M4A1S skin. So I think when you take the print stream at 250 in the comparison, I think 150 for the Vaporwave means it is A+. Then the Shantico's Fire allows me to have a bit of a conversation with the other skins that have been placed into the B tier. Now this is $61. Not $40 for this would be a real sweet spot. 61 for a skin that it's not everyone's cup of tea, to say the least, but I do personally quite like it. I think it's a very interesting skin. It just creates an interesting conversation. And that conversation is, if I compare it against the Moss Quartz, I think $60 for it is better than the 40 for the Moss Quartz. But for the Guardian, where is it going to sit? And with that conversation and being a bit hit and miss, I think probably B tier. And yeah, I think that's a fair place for it to sit. Here we have the good old Night Terror. Now, I am very much aware, guys, that if you buy this in Battle Scarred, it goes purple, gets a big purple tint on it, and that is most people's preference for buying it. But minimum wear pricing is 55 cents, and even then, it still looks good. If you want to go get the Battle Scarred one, you can. It's not much difference on the price. And I think, given that this actually gets some pretty good artwork, and it's $50, it just has to be S tier, I think. And maybe at the end, we'll consider A+, but I think, like, just for $50 getting a nice skin, I think it makes sense. Now we go on to one of the more expensive skins on the M4A1S side of things, and it is going to be the Hot Rod. Now, I'm sorry to say, if you're a Hot Rod enjoyer, actually, first of all, I'm taking the factory new pricing for this, which is $870, because no one really buys these in minimal wear, so it kind of doesn't make any sense at all. So factory new pricing, $870. I am sorry if you're an enjoyer of this. I think the value for this is arguably F tier. We'll get to the Blue Phosphor. If you compare it to the Blue Phosphor, it's nowhere near as good. And there's other skins. Oh, granted, one of them is actually more expensive, but it doesn't do enough for me. Like, it's not flashy enough to be justified of nearly $900. And you could just go buy a different red M4A1S, even though those options aren't stellar, they're much cheaper. Like, a Shantico's Fire over this for me every single day. I think it's probably going to have to go into F tier for now. I just don't think the value is there at all. When we jump over to the Nitro, I think this is an A tier skin for value for money, with the conversation for A+, if you're an orange enjoyer and you want to do crafts on it. I think that's the one thing that can get it. My personal distaste to it is, if you compare it to the Nox gloves here, it's not really black and orange. It's kind of like an off blacky grey color and orange. So I think there could be more color pop there, but it is what it is. For $1, it's A tier. Like, it's got lots of craft potential, it's fairly cheap, but it's not really over the top. You know what, I always forget how many good M4A1S skins there are for, like, a relatively good price. Now, this is the Golden Coil, and minimum wear is going to run you just under $100 at $95. But the thing I want to have a conversation here is, the Golden Coil honestly looks like it could be, like, if you told me, and you had no context of CS skins at all, if you told me both this and the Hot Rod were the same price, I could believe it. The artwork on this is fantastic in comparison to the Hot Rod. $100, I think maybe it has to go into the same thing as the Vaporwave. I don't know what the texturing issue is at the back there when I'm inspecting. Maybe it's just the gen code issue. It's so close to being S tier, and I think there's a conversation for it. We'll review at the end. But for a skin that you could reasonably look at and think that, okay, fair enough, that is $1,000, I think it has to be up there. Oh, we have a love-hate skin here, guys. It's the Emphosaurus S. I love the naming. I love the artwork. I love the fact that it's under $1. My personal preference would be putting this in like A tier, potentially A plus tier, because it's under $1 and it's a super cool piece of artwork. On to be fair, yes, this is a green M4A1S. I know I was complaining before, but it's also got brown and yellow. It's not really perfect for it. You know, if you're rocking an emerald knife, you don't really want to be just pulling out an Emphasaurus S. That's probably the downside of it. But I think there's a conversation for A tier here, definitely at under $1. I know some people hate the artwork, but if you love this artwork, then it's super nice to have in here. Here we're probably going to have my biggest hear me out skin in regards to what value I think this has. This is the Icarus Fell M4A1S. It's based on the Gods and Monsters collection. Obviously, it's got like actually gods and lore behind it, and the story behind Icarus flying too close to the sun. That's where you get the wax and the feathers. It is pattern based, so it moves where the wax and the feathers are around the skin. It looks clean enough. Normally you want to go 00 float, but you can find those for pretty much normal pricing, which again, I'm going factory new for this, which is about $450. I think when you compare this to the Hot Rod, this is levels above the Hot Rod artwork wise. How it looks, it's pattern based, the story behind it, it's great. And then obviously the price is almost half of what the Hot Rod is. Right, this is a fantastic skin, and I'm glad, very similar to the Vulcan, that as it's aged, it's stayed somewhat reasonable in the grand scheme of Counter-Strike pricing, which you'll see some of that shortly. Now, with all of this in mind, I honestly think this is C tier value because it is such a good piece of artwork. And speaking of those crazy skins, we're going to get onto them now. And the next one is the Welcome to the Jungle. So Icarus Fell and Welcome to the Jungle, if you're not aware, are two of my favorite M4A1S skins in the game. I absolutely love them. I've owned both. I've rotated both. I think they're fantastic skins. So if I was doing this just on looks, they would both be S tier, 100%. My issue with the Welcome to the Jungle is, yes, you can buy a Battle Scarred, and I had one in Battle Scarred Souvenir, and it's like $400 or $500, whatever. But normal minwear is $1,600. So it is horribly pricey. What I will say, though, is if you're looking $900 for a Hot Rod, or $1,600-ish for this, I would take this every single day because the artwork level is so much better. Actually, you know what? I'm putting it in D tier. I think arguably it's the #1 M4A1S skin in the game, and it's not the most expensive. So, D tier. Now, unfortunately, this one is going to go into F. It's the Knight. It's priced up because of trade-ups, which is unfortunate, not because of how fantastic it is. It's nearly $3,000. I cannot justify anything other than F tier for this, for the price and how it looks, because if you want a gold skin, you could go buy the golden coil for under 100, right? So that is going to go into F tier, but when we're looking at other skins that are released at the same time, we then have the Hyper Beast. And I always really enjoy the conversation around the Hyper Beast. I know for some people, it's like they feel it's been overused. It's been used on some very cool projects, let me say that, but some people see it as just like, it's just a go-to skin for CS. Even people outside of CS know it, like just people that play gaming know it. And for that, some people don't like it. However, for me, I think that goes to show how iconic and OG this skin is. This was in that 2013 to 2016 period release, one of the first big pieces of artwork added into the game, and it's $52, which for me means this is without a doubt one of the best value for money skins in the game, because it's sick artwork, sick colors, it's one of the older skins, and we've seen some of the older skins are now $450, $800, over $1,000. This is $50. So definitely S tier, I think potentially ahead of the Nightmare. Now, I can't lie, this one pains me a little bit because on the FAMAS and the Desert Eagle, the Mecha Industries is great value. They're under $10 minimum wear, it's great. Here, however, it's $51, and it's kind of lackluster. That's all I can say about it. It's lackluster. Do I put it in B or C tier? That's the question. Like, it's not far off the pricing in the Dark Water for not too much else. Yeah, I think it's a C tier skin. Now, here we have the Blue Phosphor, and I think this is where I was saying that comparison against the Hot Rod. The Hot Rod does not have the red magazine and everything. It sort of cuts off on black accents. Whereas the Blue Phosphor is $550, right? But it is this full blue. You can do some very nice sticker crafts on it. I will say, it doesn't get the full shine. Maybe the map is sort of letting me down on that. Not crazy lighting. But for me personally, I prefer an Icarus Fell for this. I think there's a bit more to it. There's a bit more story. It's pattern based. However, this can look incredibly good on blue loadouts. And it is only 100 more than the Icarus Fell. So I think it probably should be in C tier. Like, its new gun model looks good. I'm going to put it in D for now. No, I lied. We're going C. Now, I think this one is honestly going to catch people a surprise. This is the Wash Me Please. It's 30 cent in minimal wear. It's a pattern-based skin. It is this, let's call it brownie color, but it's got this really nice sort of like blue accent color on it. but pattern based, and you can put blue stickers on this that pair into the blue accent color. Honestly, for value for money, I think this is an S tier skin. I really like what you're getting for the money here. So much so, I think it's probably ahead of the Night Terror. In CSGO, the Decimator was such a go-to skin. I don't know what it is, but the Tech 9 Decimator looks so much better than the M4A1S Decimator in CS2, which is a little bit sad. It's now still good value for money, like $16.50 for this, for the blue and the pink is still pretty good. Like, there's no discussing outside of that, but I don't know, it just sits a bit at the minute, but still good price. I think you could argue it's in that same sort of conversation as the Guardian. I know most people prefer it over the Guardian, but I feel like some people would have a conversation for this to be A tier, but high B for now. Another sub-dollar skin that I really like, similar conversation as the Infosource S. This is the flashback, 70 cent in minimal wear. Obviously, it's this kind of like camel forest green, which isn't everyone's cup of tea. However, I love that it's got like the little smiley face, the kill counter, the make love not war. I just love all those. It's not really Easter eggs on it, but the closest definition I can give it is that. So I think this is super cool, and I always recommend this for budget-friendly loadouts because I do think you're getting good value for money. So I do think it probably needs to sit in the same category with the Infosource S. The briefing for me is very similar to that Blood Tiger we looked at. Obviously, it is a blue skin, and it's a bit grey as well. It's just, I don't know, there's something about this skin I just don't like. I think the red contrasts like incorrectly on the barrel. I think the bomb sights being marked in red makes sense, but the red accents don't work. I get what the concept was here. I get what the designer was going for. I just don't think it's come through very well, and I don't think you get a crazy amount of value for money here. Like, and I've compared it directly to the Blood Tiger, which just scraped into B tier. I think it's fair to put this in C tier. And our other new M4 that came into the game, it is going to be the M4A1S Fade, which was rapidly dropping, but has now settled around the $440 mark. And yes, I am taking that in factory new pricing because the float cap is 0.08, so taking minimal wear. No one wants to buy it, and it's kind of pointless. Now, I must say, I thought this was going to be a much higher price, but obviously the supply went super heavy. For me, it's not an S tier value for money, but it's definitely, I think you can have that conversation of where it sits with the likes of the Icarus Fell, for example, because it is a very nice skin. You can go get a different fade percentage for whatever color you want to be on the main of the body, but outside of that, there's not much more. Also, personally, I don't really like that it's kept these black accents on it. I think all these black accents that you can see are the blacky grey accents. I think that should have been full fade, honestly. So value for money, yeah, I think it sits in the C tier where you are like much like the Icarus Fell and the Blue Phosphor. You're getting a very nice like skin, but it's a lot that you're paying, and realistically, a Nightmare, a Hyper Beast, a Golden Coil, all offer much better value for money. Personally, I really dislike the control panel. There's something about it just aches me. I don't like the skin, but I know some people do. It's under $10. It is blue. I think it's better than the briefing, if I'm being honest. If you want a blue skin, like I think at least the top bit is getting a bit better. I think it is cool. It's got secure connection. Like there's some cool elements this tying together. I just personally don't like it that much. But as I say, I can't really bring all my bias into this because it should be a fair value for money, no doubt. With that said, I think with everything else that's on offer, with the Decimator, with the Guardian, with the Nightmare, at $8.90, call it $9, I don't think it's crazy value for money. I may have to start moving some stuff into D tier here. Saying that, I've got a perfect skin for D tier. This is the Masterpiece, which is $202. Honestly, the souvenir is not far off. I think it was like $180 when I checked it on the 23rd of November. So this, for me, is a cool bit of artwork. It's from the old Overpass collection, and obviously we've got a new Overpass collection, so this is not going to get any more supply added to the market from people like Unboxing and so on. However, I think if you wanted a budget-friendly, not even budget-friendly, if you wanted a better value for money M4A1S, you would go for the Hyper Beast, you'd go for the Nightmare. If you wanted to go for like an S tier finish, you'd go for a Icarus Fell. You'd go for a Blue Phosphor. And it's with that in mind, I honestly think this is like a D tier value because it sits in between the more budget-friendly, nice blue skins and the insane S tier blue skins, but it's still ahead of the Welcome to the Jungle on value. The Leaded Glass, some people would argue, was better in CSGO before it went into CS2. Overall, I still quite like this skin. I know around the $5.40 mark, it's one of the more budget-friendly ones. It has good value for money. I think the where they've kept black accents makes sense. It makes sense with the way the broken shards of glass are coming through. And if you got Cologne 2016 stickers, because it has like broken glass, it has really good craft potential. Overall, for the $5 mark, I think this is an A tier skin because it's definitely ahead of all those in B. I think it was fair to say coming into this that the Black Lotus was always going to be an S tier skin. I think anyone that disagrees with that is, I don't know what they're on, if I'm being honest, but $13 for minimal wear It looks fantastic. Even in Battle Scarred, when it gets that more pinky sort of hue, it still looks great. So it's going to top the charts. Overall, it's probably the most value for money M4A1S you're going to get. Another one that I don't love, we have the Cyrex. It's just under $25. It's one of those skins, I think, just as we've gone on in Counter-Strike, it hasn't aged overly well. Still can do some super cool crafts with it, with like complexity logos, the more old school complexity logos. I think like Hellraiser stuff, if 3D Max make the major, actually 3D Max haven't made the major. So like, although the new stickers suck compared to the old ones, I don't know why the hell they changed it, but those will be like nice craft potential here. Much similar to the Guardian to me. I'm indifferent about it. That indifference though is probably why it should be B tier, because you're getting like, if you need a red M4 and you don't want the Night Terror, and you don't want to Shintico's Fire, this is kind of where you end up sitting. Then we have the nice conversation around the Player 2. This is just under the $50 mark as well. It is a nice piece of artwork. Most people enjoy it. I love, actually, the blue and the orange. I think those colors, much like the letter glass, work really well. My only thing is, I don't really like the anime character in the middle being so big and taking up so much space. And that's just a personal sort of preference issue. But I do think if you want to say like that orange and the blue, you've got a leather glass. This is 10x the price. And if you want blue skin, you got Nightmare and stuff like that. So it sits in a really weird offering, much like the Masterpiece. It's with that, I think it's fair to say this is like a B tier skin, definitely in that Shantico's Fire, Moss Quartz kind of conversation. And I'd probably better value than the likes of the Cyrex and the Guardian. Now, the Pearl Fizzy Pop, it's not going to get much love here. You can see how much wear comes through on this. It makes all the accents look, all the edges look really weird and scuffed. It is cool that it's pattern based. I know if you get super low flow and a good pattern, there's stuff you can do, but this is one that's going to be a really good comparison towards those other like $1 skins. So like Nitro looked clean, good craft potential, Flashback under $1, cool Easter eggy bits on it and everything like that. Infosource S, like just better colors and everything. This is a C tier value for money skin. It can't go any lower because it's cheap, but it just lacks something. Then we have the Brightwater. This one I don't think is aged overly well. It's $24. You can only get it in minimal wear. I know if you're running Amphibious Gloves and Blueberry Buckshot Agent, this pairs really nicely. I know Anomaly runs that. Overall though, it isn't all that. Especially when you compare it to the Boreal Forest. Like, the Boreal Forest, you could run Boreal Gloves and pair with it. It's like 7 cents versus 25. I'm going to pin this as value for money as being D tier. I don't think you get much with this at all. Speaking of D tier value for money, we've got the Imminent Danger. Now, I think for a lot of people, they go get this skin because it's one of the most expensive M4A1S skins. And that's just something people seem to love to do. They like hunting it in souvenirs because it is so expensive and obviously they can sell it and make profit. Artwork-wise, it's kind of like, it's like a B, C tier kind of artwork. It's cool, some interesting stuff, but it's also a little bit messy. I think over $1,000 for this, you're not getting any value at all. And definitely, I think, deserves to be in that F tier. How have we got more S tier than A plus at the minute? An older skin that hasn't aged well. We've got a few of these, honestly, for the M4s. Atomic Alloy, basically $50 for this. I think, again, great comparisons against this is the likes of the Player 2, the likes of the Hyper Beast, even like the Mecha Industries. It's really hard. Like, if you were saying you could go for a Nitro with some basic orange stickers, or you can pay $50 more to get this, I think a lot of people will just go for the Nitro, or even like the leather glass and just make it work. It's for that, I'm going to be dropping it into C tier. There's just not too much going on here. While the A plus was lacking, I think we found a nice option to go into, because for 25 cents you can get a minimal wear mud spec, and it may seem wild that a brown skin is going to go in here. And I know a Battle Scarred, it gets a nice bronze effect that looks cool. I genuinely think this M4A1S looks pretty good, and it has a ton of budget craft potential as well. So if you're on a budget loadout and you want a nice M4A1S, you should be considering this skin. And for me, it does go ahead of like some Flashback, Infosource S, and so on. But then another example of cheap doesn't necessarily mean better. This Vari Camo is 75 cents. So it is directly in that conversation of the Flashback and the Infosource S. And it's just, it's not that great. I do think you could definitely build a themed loadout that fits this in. And then it's a pick that you don't see anyone else using in game. And it makes sense, and like aesthetically it comes together really well. However, that is such a not 1% of people that will do that it just drives it down the tier list. Probably the same conversation as the Fizzy Pop, where it's in this meh category. And then finally, we have the Basilisk, which is actually an M4A1S that I'm trying to think of craft ideas for myself. So if you're still here, one, thank you very much. But two, I want craft ideas for this. I was thinking green stickers somewhere on this that could then pair into it. Even without the green stickers, if I just rock it now, it pairs really nicely with my tier 1 Nox. So, you know, I just kind of fuck with it, I vibe with it. A little bit of bias is going to come under this one with how much has grown on me in the last couple of months. But it actually sort of pumps up our A+ tier. So, there we go. That is my value for money M4A1S tier list. I will say this one was much more tricky than the gloves and the AK, because I think there's so many different conversations that can be had around some of the skins. I think without a doubt, I'm happy with the S tier. The Black Lotus, Hyper Beast, and Nightmare always have to be there. The Wash Me Please is probably an interesting pick, and I know some people might knock Night Terror down to A+. A+, I'm super happy with that. A conversation to be had about the print stream in A, but overall, because it's such a high quality skin, and it's so sought after, I think it probably just sort of sits in this A category. And then, you know what, like, as much as I love the Icarus file, and I think the Blue Phosphor is cool, when you're looking at the pricing, this is probably what I think it should be. Now, you guys, obviously, are very welcome to debate this with me, discuss this with me in a friendly manner down below. You can say I'm cooked for my text, but let's try and keep it somewhat civil. What do you think is the best value for money M4A1S? And what do you think is the worst value for money M4A1S? Please let me know in the comments down below. I'm going to end my waffle in there. I just want to say a big thank you to the YouTube members that continue to support the channel. It is greatly appreciated. We have more viewer loadouts coming out in December. We'll have 2 more of those. And YouTube members get priority. So if you do want to be included in those, make sure you check out the join button down below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're new around here. And I'm going to catch you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.